One of the big changes in the Filecoin ecosystem in the last year or so has been the emergence of our on-ramps. Um, the Filecoin network is a complicated beast, and it's a beast that you've traditionally had to poke at with some complicated command lines. You've had to understand all the parts of the Filecoin economy to really get the best out of the network. And you have to do that yourself or in cooperation with storage providers. The feedback we've always had is that storage providers love customers, they love getting paid deals, and they love storing data and getting the rewards from that. But it would be a lot easier if every customer didn't have to sit and sort out a deal with each of them. And of course, that's not how the Filecoin network was intended to be built. We have the on chain markets, and we really want every negotiation, every contract, every deal to be on chain and also to be easy for everyone. And that's why the on ramps have evolved. We now have an amazing ecosystem of partners, each of them working for a different community, for a different use case for the Filecoin offering, making a little money themselves on the side, and using that to hire some of the brightest minds in the Filecoin ecosystem and get them working on some of the toughest problems. Um, Most of these people are very busy, turning a profit and getting funding and working on those crazy important technical developments. So I'm really, really honored and happy to have some of the leading lights taking some time out of their day and their very small amount of free time to come here and talk about what they've been doing, what they've planned, and most importantly, like who their customers are. Like, what are the clients? Who are the real users of Filecoin and the warm storage and other systems that they're building in this ecosystem? And what do they want? I think one of the challenges that we've all realized is that we need to get a really tight feedback loop between the end users of Filecoin and the people building the fundamental core infrastructure. And without that, it's very easy for us to fly off into architect astronaut land and build something that is fantastically clever, but without the on ramps, it's not going to find a customer. Okay, so I've spoken enough. I will lead straight into our first speaker, Angelo.
Thank you, Danny, for the intro. Hello, I'm Angelo Shelley, like you mentioned, CTO at Akave. And today I'm going to tell you how we've been, building Akave, what we've been working through, what the future holds, and what we're solving for. So we'll just get started on that. So at Akave, we're enabling verifiable data workloads at the edge for AI and enterprise. Along the way, I'll try to get you along and explain what that all means. So we'll get started. I'll start with the tech right away, and that will make sense at the end why I did that to get that going. So we started with the Akave network, and that's kind of where the journey started, seeing how to put everything together and make it work on a protocol level and a data storage level. So let me dive into that a little bit. So this is the high over Akave network infrastructure or architecture. As you can see on the left, we try to take like the workloads that our customers are coming with, that they're asking for, and we ingest that through our Akave R3, like we call that. That's our S3 compatible API with all the different API calls and the standards that AWS is throwing at us, same like how Google and Microsoft adopted it. So we're following that same standard. That's also needed because like these hundreds of API calls need to be supported before you can do any of these data workloads that are coming in. And then basically it goes into our SDK where kind of all the magic happens based on our Go SDK. We do have a Python and a Rust SDK in the works, so that's for later, but our own tech is built on Go. And from there, it kind of what happens is the data gets ingested. We kind of break it up in pieces. We spread that out over our nodes, making it hot storage from that perspective. But while in that process, we encrypt it and we spread it with erasure coding for resiliency. And while all that magic happens, we store that on our immutable ledger or the blockchain, whatever you want to call that. Once all that process is done, we'll tap into like aggregated parts on the nodes, and they will. Before we had like a PORAP kind of flow storing on Filecoin. Now we switch that to PDP and we aggregate the data there. Very similar, and then store it on Filecoin. Once that's done, you have the option on through O3, through tiering, or through our SDK to pull that data or interact with the data directly on Filecoin once it's stored. So it's the same structure on how it's erasure coded and stored. So we keep the same data structure there. That's being said, let me dive into like more of like the specifics on how our kind of security framework works to give you like a little bit like clear way of how that flow goes. So it doesn't matter what data set we work with. Everything gets broken down basically in 16 megabyte chunks. Now, why I say 16 is because after erasure coding and after encryption, it turns into 32 megabyte chunks. So basically, we're talking about 32 megabyte chunks that are being split in 1 megabyte data blocks. Now, these data blocks, they all get separately encrypted. And then they get erasure coded and distributed all over our nodes. Now, while that happens, we create like high resiliency, making sure that if anything happens with the data, you can always recover it. Now, to give you some idea, like if you don't know what erasure coding is, very simple. It just kind of adds some sort of a backup mechanism to an algorithm, spreads the data over minimum of like an X amount of nodes. And then with the erasure coding schema that we're using, you can, for instance, lose like half of the nodes before any of your data is unretrievable. That also gets us back right away to like the recovery and retrieval. Basically, it's like the exact opposite flow. Because we spread it over the nodes, you only need to pull from half of the nodes to get that back. Also pushes performance a lot because you can pull data back from multiple nodes at the same time. When I talk about nodes, it doesn't matter if they're Kave nodes or Filecoin nodes. You can retrieve that directly from both or a mix of based on how you want to do that. And then you decrypt it with your private key and creating back your original file or your blob storage. Now, some terminology that I quickly want to get into and some products that we have like set out for our customers to support. So we have the Agave network, which is like our blockchain and our protocol that ties it all together, making sure that everything gets tracked. You have your verifiability and your insights on how data structure is done and on which nodes it gets stored. We have our CLI, obviously that's like I mentioned, the Go SDK and the Python and the Rust one somewhere for the end of the year. Then Kave 03, obviously our S3 compatible API, and then kind of give you some insights into what's being released very soon is our IAM integration, also object-based access management control that will be released somewhere Q4, planning on somewhere November. That's the time frame right now. Then a Kave link, which is our API that you can spin up as a Docker container. And it doesn't hold any data itself. It just connects to the network, giving you an easy to use API separately. That's kind of our future implementation for being a CDN and giving you that X402 integration that a lot of people are talking about. So you can do payment integration directly over HTTP. Makes it very handy for AI workloads, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then our prickly pear, like we call it internal, the project is our GUI that will be released in 2 weeks. So that's very exciting for us to get that going. So you can have your buckets and your access keys managed directly from there. Now, why I started with all this is kind of like setting the stage for like the challenges that our customers have and basically what they're asking for. If you look at today, for instance, a lot of like questions that come in is like regulatory data management, especially on the European side, which we're also looking into, are moving the workloads out of the cloud more to the edge because you need like portability. You need to be able to kind of prove that your data is actually on your European servers. And even today, it kind of creates a little bit of a conflict with the Cloud Act being there because data being on the servers in Europe, but still managed by a US company still gives you like issues there. So we're also solving for that. Now, the other one that we see that customers are coming in for is they have everything in the cloud, like built up over the last years, and they have all their data. They are sitting in cold storage or warm or hot storage, depending on their usage. They notice is now that their AI workloads that they want to compute somewhere else or in their own data center or wherever, and they need that kind of portability of their data, which if you're iterated directly on the cloud is very expensive with egress fees. If you move it out, it's very expensive. So we're trying to give that freedom and portability back to the enterprises and the AI builders. Give you an idea, moving 1 petabyte of data in and out of the cloud will cost you 90K, which I think is substantial on top of what you're already paying for your compute and your storage. Now, one of the other challenges is that I see a lot of conversations where one of the main complaints too is that storage costs don't really go down, but you see year over year that more capacity is created, better drives are being developed, and still prices will still stay the same. So that's kind of a margin that cloud providers don't really take into account on that. Their costs don't lower on the customer side. That's something to keep in mind. Now, the other one, obviously, AI is a big thing. No different with our customers. They want to make sure that we keep that focus as well. So we see that, like, is it traceable? Can you audit it? And that's basically like, how do you prove that? So we're also solving for that, making sure that we have those insights through our blockchain, making sure that how the data at any time is visible at rest or in transit, so you know what's happening there. Now, all this to basically set the stage of why we also, from Akave network, built out of that the Akave cloud, like we call that, because a lot of our customers, they don't want to spin up their own Docker container or do the integrations on the SDK or spin all that code together or mix all that code together to make that work. So what they just are asking for is, can you not just host this for us? So that's the Akave cloud. What that bring for you is the S3 compatible API. That's our O3 instance hosted. We are hitting up to like 80% savings because we have an efficient way of distributing the data. The egress costs are a lot less, or they're not there at all. You get that view on the way of like how your data is stored. That's all comes with that setup. So you'll be able to track your data, look on the blockchain, verify it. Now with the Filecoin integration combination with PDP that we're looking at, we give you that extra level as well. So it goes over both tiers, which customers are excited about. And then the data wallet that we talk about is that you can automate things in a way that AI expects. So no human interaction, and you can make that all happen that way. Then some ideas on some integration so you can actually see that how people are using it. We see a lot of Snowflake interest, so people want to be able to use Apache Iceberg, Snowflake integration directly, DuckDB integration, and some others that are right in here. And you see that this is very applicable to like the object storage because that's like what people are asking for right now. Then little quick thing, if you want to keep updated on all the exciting tech that we're building and all the new iterations, because all of these products and tools that we're talking about have their specific tech updates as well. So we have a monthly tech update that you can follow and subscribe to if you want to. And here are a few of our links if people want to scan that or you want to go into that. So you have the docs, our network, if you want to get updated, or if you have technical questions, you can dive into our Telegram.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah. I'm a co-founder at Sriracha. We are a next generation user-owned data storage network, right? So what are we trying to do? So I have a problem that I've had for a long time. When I was 18, I uploaded my first website, and as soon as I uploaded it, I gave away my data, right? Forever. And it's not just my problem. This is the story of the entire internet, right? It's basically built, the entire business model is take and sell other people's data. Don't give you control, right? So at Sriracha, we basically set out to flip the model. Um, we think that your data should be yours. You should decide who uses it and how, right? And the mechanism we are doing that is through a decentralized storage platform. So decentralized storage is not new, but it's sometimes been a little bit slower, sometimes been limited. Sriracha is targeted at being 100% competitive with any storage out there. We have a team of IPFS veterans, and we built a storage product that is feature and almost performance feature and performance parity with traditional cloud storage. Um, but here's the big thing for us. So we use a technology, right? It's our we consider it our superpower. It's a technology called UCAN, and we helped build it along with another company called Fission and a number of other open source contributors. The thing we say is that if ERC-20 made money programmable, UCANs make data access programmable. It's a novel data ownership protocol that essentially flips the model of how sharing of data happens on the internet, right? So the normal way it happens, this is like this diagram is maybe a little bit hard to read, but the normal way sharing happens, right, is that wherever you store your data, the person who is storing it also maintains the rules of who can access it, right? And so with UCANs, we essentially separate that. And there's sort of a contrived example here of how you would share data via UCANs. You can imagine an Alice and Bob. Alice wants to share something with Bob, right? So she's uploaded a document to Sriracha, right? And now she wants to share it. In a traditional scenario, she would go back to Sriracha and say, okay, could you please share the document or whatnot? And that's like, it totally takes the control out of Alice's hands. In our scenario, using our technology, Alice shares a UCAN token, and the UCAN token essentially, you can think of it as like a ticket. It's something she controls, and she shares it directly with Bob. And Bob gets the token, the ticket, and when he wants to get the data, he presents that ticket, and the ticket goes to Sriracha, and it allows him to download the document. The thing that's crazy about this is it just like totally changes what you can do with data. Instead of people scanning and monetizing your data, especially when you're storing private encrypted data, which Sriracha now supports, instead of people scanning and monetizing it, you can monetize it. You can sell your own data if you want, right? It's just like a whole different model of the internet, and it's really exciting. Anyway, on to the brass tacks. Ooh, what happened here? I don't know. Oh, yeah. So, all right, what about how are we connected to IPFS and Filecoin? So we're built with IPFS and Filecoin, right? All of our technologies from the ground up are IPFS and Filecoin based. But our platform is fast. It's easy to use. We have developer libraries that everyone can very quickly pick up. We have a GUI. We have all the things you would want. And we like to say that it's IP. It's like an omakase take on IPFS and Filecoin. All of your, a chef's selection of the best tools. And So yeah, that is our platform. All of our data is in fact stored on Filecoin eventually as our backup. And that's it. Now, I have one special little treat to close this out. The one dirty secret of our platform is in order to make everything go super fast, traditionally we've kept a copy of the data on centralized storage. It also means that our costs go way up, right? Because centralized storage is expensive, right? So I'm really excited to announce a new product that we're rolling out. It is the Sriracha Forge. Sriracha Forge is verifiable, private, decentralized private storage or public storage, if you like, all IPFS compatible, and it's powered by Filecoin on-chain cloud with PDP and the various warm storage contracts. So we're really excited. And then the best part is that it's only $5.99 per terabyte per month to store. And it will be releasing in November. That's what we got.
Cool, awesome. So glad to be here and thanks for inviting us. In a nutshell, what Lighthouse is, it's permanent storage infrastructure for Web3, and we offer permanent decentralized storage on top of Filecoin. And it's like quite ideal for individuals, developers, and enterprises. So when we started building in the ecosystem, like how the idea of Lighthouse came around to be was, first of all, we realized that storing important data, be it AI, NFTs, and even especially blockchain history long term is very expensive and especially hard to verify. And another thing was the lack of security, because most of the AI cases or use cases that you see, they don't they can't exist without encryption and access control. And third thing that we are, as our like developer, like building in the ecosystem, we realized that we had to run like our own complex Filecoin nodes, set up IPFS, indexing, and like bunch of other things that was needed. And then that was quite complex. And then we realized, okay, this could be done better. And that's how we came up with the idea initially of building Lighthouse. And what it allows you to do is you get permanent storage. Again, most of you are already familiar with this, that you can pay once, store data long term with an on-chain endowment pool model without any recurrent fees. Then our access control is very important as well, which is powered by threshold cryptography that I'll talk in next slide. Then we have like one unified SDK, which is available in JavaScript, Python, and our APIs as well, that folks can easily use to not just store, encrypt, get data proofs back. And for most of the users, like our web portal is very easy to use. Like you can easily log in with familiar login methods, crypto ones, and also Google, GitHub, etc. And the CLI and SDK are very popular, like thousands of downloads every week of that. Talking about encryption, like it uses PLS threshold cryptography. It's works seamlessly across most of the EVM chains, including FVM and other supported EVM chains as well. But most importantly, the cool things that we see people building is around token gating, that you can token gate that if you have one pudgy penguin on Ethereum and maybe 1,000 full tokens on FVM, then you can view or access a file, or you can do direct sharing to wallet addresses. Or some cool projects that we have seen people are using it for is also around time log, that you can time log some data for some time, maybe your next birthday, and then open up. So that's, I think, very cool as well. Overall, like some of the teams that we are working with are in the AI, NFTs, and DeepIn space, primarily into the Web3 domain itself, although there are some startups using us in the Web2 domain. But talking about these AI startups like Eternal AI, like most of you have seen the announcement on X, like they are storing most of the open source models like Llama, Hermes 4, DeepSeek, Qwen 3, all of that on Lighthouse. And what I like about them is like they have this very good uncensorable, chat interface where anyone can spin up these open like source models, like all of the data is coming from Lighthouse and underneath Filecoin, and then you can run these AI models very easily and like have a chat interface like Chat GPT, etc. So very proud to power that integration, specifically when recent, again, not to go much into like specific political views, when India and Trump thing was going on back and forth last month, I was quite worried that, okay, what if Trump asked Sam that, okay, cut Chat GPT access, and you don't have like a big foundational model, like even like maybe China, they have Alibaba's model, and then India, we have like some coming up, but not as great as Gemini's and ChatGPT yet. So we thought, okay, like I was very worried. I was thinking like, okay, if someday that goes away, I can just use Eternal AI. It's bringing open source models already stored on Filecoin and Lighthouse, and then interact with any of those open models that I want to. And then NFT storage, again, one product which like many of you know had a previous version, but now the new version allows you to just upload like a bunch of CSVs. Like what we do is we index from like the public IPFS network and then permanently store them on Lighthouse. So we have an endowment pool live for Lighthouse right now, and also for NFT storage. I think it's like some tens of thousands of like fill in dollars, like lying around in those endowment pool, and definitely growing as well. And then WebHash is another great, I would say, a deepen project. Like they have tens of thousands of websites, not just across ENS, but also like Solana naming service as well. So all of those websites are getting stored on Lighthouse, and also they are getting retrieved from Lighthouse. So they're like very interesting use cases like that. And Alexandria, last but not the least, like they really have like a lot of very good books, and like have built like a digital library. And what we see as a pattern is like folks do love the fact that Lighthouse has an easy to way SDK and UI to upload data on decentralized web. And talking about some of the recent wins that I also highlighted as part of our retro PGF discussion yesterday, we have an XLR integration live with USDC and USDT on base, Polygon supported, and USDFC on Filecoin is also live. So folks can go on mainnet and then pay in USDFC for our permanent storage, but also our IPFS plans as well. And then the Python SDK version 0.015 is live with enhanced storage, full metadata access, and also now it supports IPNS as well. And then the JS SDK is onto version 0.04, and then with cleaner CLI, larger file supports, and multi-user batch uploads. And then most recently, the SAFE team, which most people know, that manages tens of billions of dollars of on-chain assets used by all kinds of folks in Web3. They also recognized that, okay, Lighthouse threshold cryptography is quite useful application in Web3, especially combining threshold cryptography with Filecoin storage. So I think that's big win that we are seeing folks outside our Filecoin ecosystem also recognizing some of the work that we have done here. Cool, awesome. Thank you, and looking forward to answer some question in chat.
Thanks very much. I did put into the chat that we do have a little bit of time. We've gone pretty well, actually, given that everybody had so much to talk about. And we do have really a powerhouse of people. Anna pointed out that they're CTOs rather than CEOs, but they're the people that secretly run the world anyway. So if there are any questions for the whole panel, throw them in the chat. I guess I have one question, which is, I know that these days when somebody asks me, well, okay, how do I get involved in Filecoin? How do I use it? I always send them to the on-ramps. What's the, if you were to each of you say, okay, send these people to me, right? And how I should send them to you. What would you say? I'm going to start with you, Angelo.
Good question. I would say, yeah, it really depends on the workload, obviously, but we have a big focus on, I would say, object storage integration through the API, like I mentioned, and several kind of like products that are connecting with us. But I would say the main focus right now is definitely on like the Snowflake integration, the analytics, like Apache Iceberg table support. We actually released yesterday a new version on where you can natively rename basically your storage. Well, not rename, but like export your data that comes in directly into Iceberg tables the same way like AWS supports, which would gives us like a native advantage on querying Iceberg tables directly. So those kind of customers, yeah, definitely a big focus on that. And that ties into like the whole, after all the analytics, I see that they now are, building their own AI integration on top of those analytics. So yeah, very excited to work with those people. Yeah.
Excellent. And how? What's the best way that they can get in contact? saying your website is
Um,
perfectly fine.
so yeah, I mean, on the Kave.com, we have like a fill-in form that you can like connect directly to us. I mean, a lot of people even come into our builders channel or our Telegram directly reaching out, which I think is a good way to start because it gives you like an opportunity to play around with it first through our docs. All the integrations and everything that I mentioned, we are fully written out. So if you want to give it a go, it's kind of like a step-by-step guide on how you can do these things. And this is also how people get in, which I didn't expect actually, to be honest, that people would go do that directly. But yeah, that's also fun to see that that works on explaining things in detail that way. Um, but yeah, the website, I would say, there's a form on
Okay.
there. That's the easiest way to do.
If you throw in the Telegram link, you might be able to get a few people to potential prospects for Snowflake and other users like that. And indeed, you talked about a whole bunch of existing customers you have across a wide spectrum. If you could think of like one class of customers that you know that your solution is going to be great for, and you're trying to reach out to, who would they be and how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, I think with most of the NFTs, I think it's quite straightforward that we have like bunch of NFT users like coming every month. But I think most importantly, we have now good use cases around AI, and we have some of these teams that we can highlight, and new teams can easily be onboarded. So for us, like Lighthouse.storage as the main site is useful. Our Twitter is also quite active. Definitely worth following that. I'll drop that link in the chat. And I think now I would have around hundreds of telegrams, parallel like Discord chats opened up. So wherever you are, we will be there. Be it Slack,
We'll find you.
Discord,
Okay.
Telegram, and Twitter. But yeah, AI projects would be cool because we have already done some good work there with some of these teams that I highlighted.
Great. So if you're an AI startup that's Filecoin or Protocol Labs adjacent, then you should beat a path to Lighthouse. Hannah, you have a great self-service website. You type in your email, you get a UCAN, and away you go. But if you're looking for going out into the world and trying to find customers, what new customer class are you keeping your eye on right now?
Yeah, I mean, to be totally frank, we think our product is good for a lot of people. Historically, we've really hit the NFT space and AI. One thing I would say is you're probably using Sriracha without knowing it because a lot of our customers, use the fact that it's a UCAN to kind of like hide the Sriracha aspect, and we're like B2B to C. But yeah, I think going forward, I mean, we're interested in a couple of things. One is application developers who want to do something new, right? They can't do on centralized storage. Something that, particularly people creating marketplaces is something we're really interested in. People want to do marketplaces for data, whether it's personal marketplaces, AI marketplaces, like we think we've got the technology to serve that in a way that has just never really been done before. We absolutely, we have AI customers, Recall Network stores with us. We and we are targeting some enterprise work. In fair, but I would say if you want an S3 API, like we're not competing with the Cafe on that like pure drop in, AWS replacement sort of thing. And they do a better job than we ever will. So yeah, I think that those are my takes on that. I am all the other thing that we're headed towards is we're looking at native chain storage for any chain, meaning like I'm running my DApp on Solana. I want to store some off-chain stuff. Direct call from Sriracha. We've done some integrations that way. We have done a Solana integration like that. It's more of a bit of a hack right now, but pretty soon we're gonna have native payments through that. So yeah.
Well, that's amazing. It's really, and I just want to summarize in the chat. Apart from anything else and all your offerings, you folks' branding is just insanely good. It's so great to see, you say, oh, we're CTOs, but like, holy cow, like Akave, Lighthouse, Storacha, you're a really great front end for this ecosystem, and we're really proud to have all of you working within it.